So are you determined to make this year your year, but you don't exactly know quite how? Are you already experiencing overwhelm because you have so many changes to make and don't know quite where to start or what to do next? Then plug into Volume 2, Chapter 14, Lifestyle or Trend, as we begin the new year with the Emerge series, and I shed some light on some things that could be of assistance to you. Welcome back, Power Plugs. We are taking aim. We are shifting into inspiration to stay focused this year to accomplish what it is that we set out to do through awareness, inspiration, and motivation through the power of story. Let's plug in. As the clock struck 12, it hit quite differently for this young man than it had ever before. He had experienced a very challenging year and decided to switch up his normal routine of finding the most wild party that he could to playing it low key, and this year bringing it in with his family at the annual barbecue and fireworks party that they always threw. And he was so unusually somber that it caught the attention of the wisest man that he knew, his grandfather. And shortly after midnight, his grandfather called him over, pulled him to the side and said, "Okay, grandson, I know that you're not okay. If you level with me, I'll level with you. Deal?" And at first he tried to get out of it, but he said, "No, I'm going to decide to open up." So he said, "Okay, Grandpa, I have to make serious changes in my life because I can't continue on the way that I'm going. And I've decided that this year is my year. But the problem that I'm having is, what makes me think that this year will be any different than any of the other times that I've said these words, even though I mean them more now than I ever have. I don't know what to do next." Grandpa said, "Okay, if you want the truth, I'm going to give it to you both barrels." His grandson said, "Shoot." Grandpa replied, "Don't do anything. Instead, just be." And since, grandson, you have absolutely no idea what I'm saying, let me paint the picture for you. Remember several months back, you were in the hospital? What were you in the hospital for? His grandson said, "Well, Grandpa, I was hospitalized because I had a severe panic attack." Grandpa says, "That was the effect of your doing versus being. And since you still don't get it, do me a favor." She said, "Okay." He said, "Take in a deep breath. Now let it out." Grandpa says, "When you were in your full-on panic attack, you were allowing everything outside of you to take more importance than and separate you from the most natural thing that you are able to do for yourself that connects you to life, and that is to breathe. And in order for you to do what connects you to life properly, you had to first be still. And while you were struggling to control your breath, everything that lured you away from peace had to take a back seat in order for you to be calm. And it's because of your approach to life, which has been backwards since you were a little fella. Always rushing through life, looking to find the next thing to do, never learning how to just be comfortable or content with just being yourself. When you were 5, you couldn't wait to be 10 so you could do what the older kids were doing. And then when you got a little bit older, you couldn't wait to start dating or start driving. And then you couldn't wait to graduate. And then you couldn't wait to be 21 so you could do what adults do. And when you got to those places, it wasn't what you thought it was, because you never took time to just be you. When you seek joy, happiness, and peace outside of yourself, you'll never find it. So before you do another thing, find that place of peace within yourself so that everything that you do from that point forward is to protect that peace. And ask yourself, is what I'm doing a part of who I am? Or is it something that I've seen someone else do that I want to try that may not be for me? Power Plugs Worldwide, I need you to see this for yourself. You can start by doing anything. But ask yourself this question: is what I'm about to do trend or lifestyle? You can even see it on YouTube with different people's channels. They want viewers, so they have to do what's trending, and then they do what's trending, and then they get the attention of the people, only to not be able to keep it because what they've embarked on isn't who or a part of who they are. So how long can you continue if it doesn't come from within? Before you get that gym membership, before you start that new routine, before you start that new relationship, ask yourself, is this lifestyle or is this trend? Is this naturally coming from me, or is this just the next thing that I think that I have to do in order to become? Let me tell you, Power Plugs, you already are. And what we have to start doing is stop doing and start being. So all the things that we've learned that are not true can start falling off, and the sculpture of who we really are inside starts to emerge. So in essence, being is getting in alignment. You are spirit first. Then once you get spirit in alignment, then everything else falls into place. Said it before, will continue to say it because it's truth. The journey to inner peace starts the moment that you and I decide not to allow anything outside of ourselves to control our emotions. And there is no greater example of this than in the scriptures. Before the Messiah started doing great works and miracles, ministering to others, the scripture tells the story of how he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted. What we read right over and misunderstand is that the tempter showed up only because Yeshua allowed the Spirit to lead him into the wilderness to be. He was being led by the Spirit to be prepared for the great works ahead. He was aligning himself spiritually, because at the core of every person alive, we are spirit first. He took 40 days spending time to get to know himself for himself. 40 days of just being, gaining inner peace and inner strength and inner assuredness, gaining inner confidence of who he really is without the distractions of everything going on outside. And that is what got the tempter's attention, because you can't do that. You can't get your priorities in place. You've got to believe the lie, not the truth. Yeshua was spending time just being, so that everything that he was about to do was going to be something that was a part of him, that came from his innermost being to his outermost being by virtue of spirit. Then once his alignment was complete, that's when the tempter showed up, knowing that he was hungry. The enemy knew who he really was, but he also knew that he had the opportunity to use his gifts for something other than the purpose that he had decided that he was going to use them for. So he comes with this line of questioning. If you be the Son of God, turn these stones to bread. I know you're hungry. You know you're hungry, and you know you can do this. Now, this response is astounding. He said, first, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. He was allowing spirit to take first place, priority over his manhood. He was being first, then doing. It was order. It's not that he didn't need to eat. It's not that he wasn't going to eat, but he was going to put spirit first. There is a pattern and a code to this that we will continue to explore as we go further into the Emerge series, so that you and I can emerge victorious over this year, no matter what happens outside of us. Stay connected and make sure you continue to plug in. Now, the challenge question is this: are you going to continue doing the same thing and expecting different results? Or are you going to start being committed to what is lifestyle rather than trend? To change the narrative in your life, take the next step. Invest in yourself and book a life strategy coaching session with me at www.beliefinteriordesign.com. Let's start the journey of making belief reality.